Lots of midlife crisis candidates, huh?
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
No, you look fine. I look fine. Let's get married.
Okay,
I got a couple
how about
hours.
that?
You got a couple hours?
No, but I have half an hour. That's
There's something different about this election, and it's not just the superstar bodybuilder in the politician's suit.
At first I was like, no way, he's running for Terminator, but he's the perfect candidate in all ways.
19-year-old Jia Wei had no intention of voting in the recall election. That is, until Arnold came along.
This is the first time ever I've done anything like this. I would never see myself here, you know? I'm really, mutual and everything, but he totally got me into it.
This is not a college football game. It's the state Republican convention in Los Angeles. And these are the kids who grew up on the Terminator movies. Schwarzenegger's campaign has made an organized effort to woo young, first-time voters. Many of his young supporters aren't sure exactly why they want to vote for Arnold, but the fact that he's a star seems to be enough.
He's a very good speaker, the way that his accent, everything, just the way he, trying to think of the word, but
he's charismatic.
Yeah, there you go. He's charismatic. That's what I'm looking for.
Hey, Caroline?
Republican pollster Bob Wickers sees Arnold's campaign as a prime opportunity to do something almost unheard of in California.
The recall election and Arnold Schwarzenegger's participation in it really provides an opportunity to reshape the Republican Party's image here in California and to begin attracting younger voters to the Republican Party.
But there's no guarantee that Arnold's celebrity will lure young voters on Election Day. Polling expert Merv Field.
Right now, I would say there aren't a lot of signs that Schwarzenegger is going to be the Pied Piper.
Field's September poll showed young voters lagging in registration.
The big question is whether the, let's say, the enthusiasm that young people are showing for Schwarzenegger will translate into enough young people actually registering, actually voting. And that's a big question.
The Republican Party seems to have no illusions about its lack of appeal to young California voters.
We can't just stand idly by and let our youth be corrupted by the liberal biases.
This meeting of the Republican youth majority at the state convention attracted more old-timers than youths. And even with the excitement of Arnold mania, the young voters who did show up seemed less than thrilled. Still, the excitement of a larger-than-life candidate is enough to make card-carrying Republicans out of some young voters.
I'm here today, and I wouldn't be here if it was for Gray Davis or anything. I'm here because Arnold's here.
For CNS News, this is Kristen Ayers.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of our candidates. Let's say hello to this candidate for governor right here, Kurt E. Reitmeyer. There's Kurt E. Reitmeyer.
A sumo wrestler, a porn actress, and a movie star.
Do I look okay? You look better, let's put it that way.
Even this gun-toting bounty hunter is in the running to be California's next governor.
The recall is a national joke, so we've heard a lot about a few fringe candidates. But what about the 100 or so others in the race? Who are they?
I decided to do a survey of the candidates. I called 97 of them.
Is this Mr. Weber? Hi, doing a television piece about the demographics of the recall candidates.
And here's what I found out. They're overwhelmingly male. Most are Democrats, white, middle-aged, married with kids, and college graduates. Almost all are political novices. In other words,
lots of midlife crisis candidates, huh?
Mark Paul, a columnist at the Sacramento Bee, calls this kind of candidate the citizen outsider.
The outsider, somebody, a citizen politician who never run for political office before. The idea was, you throw out the guy who's there and replace him with someone who presumably more represents the interests of citizens.
Take Garrett Gruner.
Why don't we get into it?
A .com multimillionaire and founder of the internet search engine Ask Jeeves. He may be the most promising of the citizen outsiders. He works full-time on his campaign, is spending nearly $1 million of his own money, and has a staff of roughly 10.
I've approached this very seriously. I'm the fourth best finance campaign, period. And I look at what's going on in Sacramento, and I personally believe that we're on the wrong track and that it's time for me to make a contribution.
The tension is between the governed and the governors, and so I think it naturally draws out people who feel like they're not being heard, their voices are not being heard.
Let me say, I'm against the recall. I think the recall is a bad idea. But having said that, this is an opportunity for renewal, for us to look at some of these problems in a new way and to have some fresh voices that are talking about it.
Comedians can't get enough of the recall, and rightly so. Aside from the 5 major contenders, there are dozens of joke candidates.
Mike is a used car salesman. She is a filmmaker. And this man is a golf pro. Gary Coleman, actor Gary Coleman.
But the real majority, who aren't being covered, seem to be in it because they want to participate more in the political process.
It's at least conceivable, not likely maybe, but at least conceivable that something very strange could happen.
This is Serene Fang for CNS News in San Francisco.
Students of color on the UC Berkeley campus came together to speak out against the Racial Privacy Initiative, also known as Proposition 54.
Oh, you're the speaker? Yeah, the speaker for Berkeley Stop the War. Okay, excellent. You want to
The initiative aims to keep the state from collecting and tracking race-related data, claiming the government should stop categorizing people by ancestry and color. But these students, and a long list of health organizations and civil rights activists say this would be a mistake.
Students of color on this campus, black community, the La Raza community, Filipino community, everybody's just pretty much united in opposition to this ballot initiative.
It's early in the semester. Most students are still getting acclimated to student life. But James Drake, a senior at Cal, is working hard to get the anti-54 word out. Here, he's working with high school students in preparation for their latest march at UC Berkeley. James is a member of By Any Means Necessary, or BAM, a national racial justice organization. Here at Cal Berkeley, other student groups are also opposed to the proposition, including the No on 54 coalition.
I think it affects my community a lot. I think with Asian Pacific Islanders, they tend to be the largest ethnic group that faces mental health issues.
Prop 54 is not one of these initiatives from the citizenry that will serve people of color here in California, but instead will actually harm us quite a bit.
These students say that 54 would prevent the government from collecting essential data to identify disparities in health, education, and employment.
We need the information just to basically show that we are being discriminated against even in the 21st century, and we need to erase racism, not erase our ethnicity or our cultures.
It's time to try something new.
Justin Jones works for the Racial Privacy Initiative that sponsored Proposition 54.
Why do you need to know that it is a black fourth grader who can't read? Why can't it just be a fourth grader who can't read? And you're concerned about helping that student.
Jones, a last-minute substitute for Ward Connerly, the controversial author of Proposition 54, spoke at a Berkeley debate. He was opposed by Eva Patterson from the Equal Justice Society. A mostly skeptical crowd listened.
Again, I just want to say we think it's a small, measured first step to take the first steps towards a colorblind government.
And information is what's important, and information is what we will not be able to get if Proposition 54 is passed.
A long line of students waited outside, unable to get in.
I wanted to come here to support Ward Connerly because I'm supporting Proposition 54.
James Drake worked the line, getting signatures calling for the removal of Connerly from the UC Board of Regents.
We don't want to keep
he's not here. He's not showing up. What? Ward Connerly's not showing up today. No way. 2 hours. Serious.
Back inside, students lined up to voice their opinions for and against the proposition.
This isn't color blindness, this is just blindness. This is a proposition that calls for the eyes to be gouged out, hands to be tied behind the back, and mouths to be taped over.
What I want to ask is, how do we get beyond these deleterious racial double standards without a proactive initiative like 54?
leaders like Huey, like Martin Luther King, like Malcolm X, gave their life so you, me, her can be here doing what we're doing today, and that they would cry in their tomb if they knew what you were doing. That's right.
What happened to Mr. Connolly tonight?
Well, he had he unfortunately had to have an operation recently. It wasn't a surprise kind of thing. It was a planned thing, but he had to recuperate from it, and that was a little harder than he thought, so he had to bow out.
With this crowd, when you talk about Proposition 54, you're likely to hear about another ballot measure also written by Ward Connolly back in 1996. Proposition 209 banned affirmative action in California. It has impacted the number of students of color at UC schools and their perception of the man who made it all possible.
Like 209 is the reason why our numbers are as low as they are now. Like they were low before, but now they're even lower than they were then. And like, I don't think that he understands like that he is black and the effects that him doing something like that has on our community as African American students.
At Cal, African Americans make up about 3.5% of the student population. Latinos and Chicanos make up about 10%.
People don't really understand that even though 209, like before 209, you still have to be qualified to get in. And like now it's making it seem like, oh, the people that got in on affirmative action weren't qualified to be here.
The Cal Muslim Student Association and the chair.
Civil rights activist Jesse Jackson, in the Bay Area to fight the recall, sat in on a student meeting to show his opposition to 54. He said the initiative had national implications.
It's anti-immigrant, anti-black, and anti-Hispanic.
Later, he stood on the steps of Sproul Plaza to deliver the message to an eager audience. Just before he went on, I asked him about the author of the initiative.
Jackson, you have anything to say about Mr. Ward Connolly, the author of this
Why
initiative?
are you looking every step he takes? Don't want to dignify him. A bigger threat to us.
Turnout was large and spirited. The latest field poll shows voters are evenly divided on Proposition 54, but noted that as more people hear about it, the less likely they are to support it.
Affirmative action. Affirmative action. No. On 54. No. On recall. Keep hope. Alive.
Supporters of 54 say classifying people by race is one of the most divisive forces in American society. But on this campus, opposing it seems to have brought people together. In Berkeley, I'm Dante Higgins for CNS News.
If you're looking for cynical jokes about the California recall, you won't find them here. Of all the major candidates, she is the only one that would let me, a journalism student from Shanghai, China, get, like the Americans say, up close in person.
It's going to be great. I love being with you, and I think it's very fashionable these days not to be able to pronounce California.
There is an old Chinese saying that outsiders can see more clearly. Arianna Huffington is definitely an outsider, a woman, an unconventional candidate who was born in Greece. Does she really see things differently?
We Greeks gave you democracy. And you have screwed it up.
On one of Arianna's recent bus tours, there's not a moment to waste. She works on her schedule, making dozens of calls, and shares the ride with student volunteers.
We're hoping to get a chance to talk to her and sort of voice some of the concerns that we have and some of the issues that we care about.
This is not Arianna's first foray into politics. As the wife of a conservative Republican, she suffered a humiliating loss to Dianne Feinstein in 1994. That was when the press discovered the couple had hired an illegal immigrant to work as their nanny, while strongly opposing illegal immigration. The marriage is over, and so is her affiliation with the Republican Party.
What has changed is my understanding of how we are able to solve those problems. I used to think that you can solve them through the private sector, that you can solve them through charity and volunteerism, and then I saw firsthand that it's not enough, that you actually need the raw power of government spending and government appropriations to be able to solve them.
As an independent, she says she stands for investing in clean and renewable energy, closing corporate tax loopholes, and shrinking prison budgets. I asked her how a college bus tour can help her win.
When you have 13 million Californians not voting in the last election, and only 7.5 million voting, I consider this a major crisis in democracy. And that's what is the heart and soul of my campaign. That's why I'm doing the college tour, because ultimately it's the young people of California who are going to save the system.
The bus tour was fun.
Jane says vote Arianna now.
But Huffington showed her tougher side at a rally on the UC Berkeley campus.
Does anybody here believe that we are going to clean up the mess in California if we keep electing the same people funded by the same special interests who got us into this mess in the first place?
No. The American government is funded by special interest corporations? That's funny. I remember reading the same line from a high school textbook in Shanghai. But Huffington is obviously more optimistic about U.S. politics than my Chinese teacher.
Because we can create a miracle if we really believe that the time has come to really clean up the system, take back our state, and fundamentally change the way we govern. It's not enough to change governors. We have to change the way we govern.
I'll vote for you no matter what, even if it's wasted. Still.
Wherever she went, people seemed impressed with her friendly and approachable personality. For this man, maybe too approachable.
No, you look fine. I look fine. Let's get married. Okay, I got a couple hours. You got a couple hours?
Feta cheese for the Greek candidate.
Huffington is fourth among leading candidates. But according to recent polls, she only has 3% of the potential vote. Her chances are slim.
The only candidates that have a real chance of winning are either Republican or Democrat. It's a shame, but that's the reality.
But no matter what happens on October 7th, Huffington is likely to remain a candidate for some kind of state or national office. On September 25th, she filed papers to launch the Clean Election Ballot Initiative, designed to keep her campaign reform agenda and Arianna herself in the public eye.
Those of us without $1 million.
And, as her website shows, she's taking an aggressive tone.
Can we get a little healthcare action or maybe some better schools?
Where's the cash?
I pay my taxes.
Get out!
But with me, her tone is nothing.
Thank you.
But sweet. From Berkeley, Violet Fenn for CNS News.